Like any family, the royals have plenty of drama going on behind closed doors, but when their troubles play out in front of the cameras, the world just can't get enough.
Like when Camilla and Charles' phone call was secretly recorded, Diana's emotional tirade on British television, Sarah Ferguson's lewd paparazzi shots, and of course, Megxit.
Now, a new podcast is investigating the secrets, scandals and constitutional crises of the Crown, promising to sort fact from fiction when it comes to the firm. We welcome journalist Dylan Howard back onto the show. G'day, Dylan. You're delving into what happens behind closed doors when the royal family makes headlines. So is it safe to assume the public isn't always presented with a full story?
I think that's probably right, Kylie. And if there's an institution that is shrouded in secrecy, it would be the British monarchy. Now, that goes back centuries. This is an institution that believed in the divine right of kings, that they were literally appointed by God and were answerable to nobody but God. So when you see incidents like Prince Andrew in recent years, you can sort of understand in some way how they genuinely do feel that they're above the law. And in this new podcast, we peel back the layer of over 5 centuries of royal secrets and scandals. And we understand how they've covered up these types of scandals in order to preserve one thing, and that is the shiny royal brand that is the British monarchy.
Now, Dylan, the podcast discusses the Queen not as a person, but as someone working to ensure the survival of the Crown. How does that impact on her role in the family unit?
Well, I think there's no doubt that the Queen commands huge affection and respect around the world, here in the United States, through to Australia, Britain, and other members of the Commonwealth. And for nearly 50 years of her reign, she really hasn't put a foot wrong. But it wasn't until Princess Diana's death that she really struggled to reconcile her role as a mother and a grandmother with her position as a monarch. And that was when she made that really fateful decision not to return to Buckingham Palace, yet stay with William and Harry at Balmoral. And that obviously caused huge public outcry, and people wanted their Queen at that time as in a matter of national crisis. That too was a very serious crisis for the firm. And in the end, the Queen really had her duty as a queen. She had to put that before her instincts as a mother and a grandmother, because at the end of the day, she is and will always be the monarch first. And for her, the firm comes before everything else.
So episode 1, you're launching with a bombshell that is Prince Andrew and his connection to Jeffrey Epstein. What did you learn about this crisis meeting held at the palace?
Yeah, I mean, this just happened weeks ago. It's rather staggering, Kylie. Andrew, even still to this day, doesn't think that he did anything wrong. It always goes back to what I said earlier about that divine right of kings idea. He thinks he's above the law, and even after making that out-of-court settlement with his alleged victim, whom he denies having anything untoward to do with, Virginia Giuffre, he believes he can just carry on, keep calm and carry on, as they say in the royals. But the reality is he can't. And he tried to attend a service for the Queen recently. And in fact, it was his brother, Prince Charles, and his nephew, Prince William, that went to the Queen and said, hang on a minute, absolutely not can he come and make a public appearance on behalf of the monarchy. And you can only imagine, despite being the second son of the Queen, he's finding it very difficult to put the institution that is the monarchy above himself. But that bottom line is, ultimately the Queen banished him from this particular event because she knows that the institution that is the firm is far more important than one individual and one individual's feelings.
Now, tell us about this upcoming episode about Princess Diana. I mean, this is someone whose story has been told over and over again. Will we learn something new about her time in the palace?
Well, I think you will, in the sense that the story of Diana in the context of what she means to the firm and how she dealt with that in life and in death were relatively significant crises for the firm. The fallout from her split from Charles painted him in an incredibly negative light, one which threatened his own existence within the monarchy had he not have been able to resurrect his reputation. And we investigate how the firm went about rebuilding his reputation in the eyes of not only his people, but also the West. And we also look at the way in which, when Diana was alive, she was so much more popular than Charles. And senior royals inside the firm saw that as a threat. So there's also this subplot of Diana versus the firm, and how Charles resented that tremendously and the impact that it played on her relationship with him.
Can we talk about William, Kate and the kids? Gee, they're not putting a foot wrong. I mean, how do you think they're positioning themselves?
Well, Charles is 73 years of age. He's set to become the king, and it's unlikely that he's going to be the king for very long. When I say very long, I mean the Queen is going to live close to 90 years of age. So potentially he's going to see his time on the throne be relatively significant. But he's still seen as the old guard, and the future of the firm is very much William and Kate. Now, Charles's rule, in my mind, will almost be a stopgap of sorts once the Queen does pass. He will be respected and has won back that respect that I mentioned that he lost as a result of Diana's death. But William has the potential to continue in the Queen's tradition. He's been schooled from the very moment that he was born in how to behave, what's expected, and he was always going to be king, so that very simple fact has informed every moment of his life. And now he's found Kate, someone who's very smart in her own way. She's watched and learned. She's stayed away from controversy. She hasn't poked the bear like some of the other royals, rarely expresses opinions on anything remotely controversial, and plays that role of a dutiful, adoring wife. They're both incredibly good at it, and they've had very few missteps. Save for one recently when they made that appearance in the Caribbean where they were asked about slavery and colonisation around the family's history. But relatively speaking, you're in safe hands if you're with William and Kate.
Now, there were rumours this week that another tell-all interview could be on the way for Harry and Meghan. I mean, this was seen after they were. This was believed after they were seen visiting Oprah with some of their staff. I mean, do you think this is likely?
I would love to say no, but the reality is they've got to do something to keep their brand alive. Harry's effectively cut himself out of the royal family. We saw that with the Platinum Jubilee celebrations. And the question is, without that royal connection, just how interested are people going to be in Harry and Meghan, the brand? So one has to wonder, what is it that they're going to say? That they were ostracised at the Jubilee? They're already told about Megxit. They've done their struggles about being accepted by the institution that is the monarchy. They've done their mental health struggles. They've done the allegations of racism towards Meghan and their children. So what else are they going to say? I don't know. I think if they do, it's only going to be damaging to the royal institution. But one thing's certain after doing the research for this podcast series, the firm wins. They're not going to win. It's over for them.
Firm wins every time, it seems. Just quickly, we are out of time. I saw some tabloid trashy headline somewhere. There is a rift developing between Harry and Meghan over all this drama. It's brought them to breaking point. Are you hearing anything about that?
Kylie, I don't think that's the truth. I think the reality is he's made some very tough decisions that have ostracised him from his family. Turning his back on those decisions would be the ultimate mea culpa.
OK. Good to talk to you, Dylan.
Thanks, Dylan. And you can stream The Firm, Blood, Lies and Royal Succession today wherever you get your podcasts.